get that off here. Is it linked right now?
Welcome back to Truth Hurts, where we expose corrupt politicians, the global elite, and the lying corporate media. I'm Jake Duesenberg, your host, broadcasting live from Roseville, Minnesota, in the belly of the beast, the heart of the left-wing Democrats, socialists of America, which are at war fighting with the Democrat Party of Minnesota. We'll get into that story today. Leading the headlines, Star Tribune this weekend. Just so you know, this is October 10th, all right? Our last show was about the 3 pillars of stability and basically how things are becoming unstable right now in the world, especially in America. We talked about the political, the economic, and the security was the one that we kind of partitioned. We said we're not going to talk as much about that today. And then over the weekend, this happens, a surprise attack by Hamas on Israel, over 1,000 dead, innocent civilians, both sides, by the way. We're not just going to read the script that the corporate media is reading. We're going to tell you how we see it, and then what should America do. We're going to get into that today. Joining me, as usual, is Mega Jesse. How you doing there, buddy?
Yep, doing good. Lots to get into. And, was this really a surprise attack? Did they know beforehand? So we got a lot to break down here.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that. Mark Bashowski joining us as well. Good to see you.
It's an honor. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure to have you in studio. I love some of the routes you go down. I have no idea where we're all going to come out on this story. So, and we want to hear from you at home too, by the way. Bridget, who just recently traveled to Israel. What was that, like 3-4 months ago, something like that?
In June.
It was June?
Mid-June.
Okay. What is that, 3-4 months ago?
I guess. I don't know what month are we in. That's why I'm like, I don't know.
Sounds like she was correcting me. I pretty much nailed that.
No, I'm just trying to think of like,
well,
I don't know.
September, August, July, June. That's 4 months. My God,
wow,
Bridget.
that goes fast.
Can I win today?
Yes.
Can I win?
You can win on that.
Okay, thank you. She'll be reading your comments if you want to join our conversation. Please, on Rumble, we'll be mostly reading Rumble comments. We'll try to get to Facebook, YouTube, unless YouTube takes us down. I don't know. Do they have a misinformation on Israel section now on YouTube? I don't know.
Base Minnesota said excited to see what Mark thinks. He's very based.
He's very based, exactly. If you want to interrupt us anytime, and for sure have your comment read, because we can't get to all comments, all you got to do is hit that Rumble rant, and we will read your comment, put a little dollars behind it, and we will for sure make you part of our show today. For those that are watching after the fact, Rumble Rant's not available to you, but you can see 1 o'clock live Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's fun to have you as part of our show. We'll have the stream right behind Bridget. We couldn't do the show without the guy running the dials, Mr. Deep State himself, Mr. Mossad himself, practicing Jew. Can I say that? Is that work, Dawson?
I forgot to replace my battery.
Do you really not have a camera right now?
I can go switch it after this, but I'm Mossad adjacent, I guess.
Do you see what is going on here? Like literally Mr. Deep State, and he doesn't have a camera that works right now.
Deep State, actually.
I'll go and find a static video. And
you consider yourself Jewish.
I am Jewish. Yeah.
You are. Well, yeah, but
consider
not ethnically Jewish.
No, I'm
like
American.
a convert into Judaism.
Yep, that's the
difference.
That's the cool, funny thing about Judaism. It's a race and a religion.
Right.
This is true.
Okay.
Dope stuff.
There you go. That's Deep State Dawson. He'll fix his camera so he can be part of the show. Where do we even start at this point? I mean, does everyone know what happened? Everyone knows at this point, right?
Is it a false flag? Did Israel intentionally let their guard down? That's where a lot of the alternative news sources I've seen have come in. Is Iran a part of it? Iran is Shia, Hamas is Sunni, but does Iran fund them? Did they direct them in this? Does this benefit Netanyahu? There's so much going on.
Right, and did the U.S. fund Iran to fund Hamas? There's some people alleging that. I haven't seen the evidence to indicate whether or not, U.S. funds were going to it. But, I mean, with Joe Biden in charge and asleep at the wheel, that who knows where this money is really where it's really going anyway.
Well, first of all, that's not like our tax money. It's that were frozen that were allegedly made available to Iran in a deal, which according to the Biden White House hasn't been spent. Not a dollar has been spent. I tend to just trust them on this issue alone because it seems like that can be fact checked really easily. I mean, it does sound crazy that I'd say I trust them on this. They do lie a lot. But on this one, I don't think this thing passes the smell test. Here's the deal. Israel, like if you look in Israel and is Gaza, the border on Gaza, like the most monitored area on the planet, right? My time in the military in a war zone, by the way, I know some of the security apparatus, right? Israel is like on the cutting edge of this stuff. And you got to imagine their intelligence services and all that kind of stuff. The idea that they didn't see this coming. I mean, we're talking about a massive scale attack. We had motorized hang gliders. You had rockets being set up and launched. What else am I forgetting?
Weren't they
border wall
allegedly
taken down.
warned by Egypt? There's some word of that too. Like
Right, 10 days in advance. So, yeah, that's what Egypt claims, that 10 days in advance they had notified Israel that they had given them a heads up that Hamas is planning something, that there's going to be some sort of attack, and Netanyahu denies it. Netanyahu says that he was never given any kind of forewarning, which, of course, that's what Netanyahu would say. And it seems that this is a real good power grab for him right now. It seems as if nothing could benefit Netanyahu more than a war with Palestine right now.
And it parallels 9/11 to a certain degree, where there's these allegations that Bush was warned ahead of time and did nothing about it. And is this the again you gotta, and unfortunately you have to be careful what you say about any of this stuff because of this whole risk of being labeled as anti-Semitic and all this, where it's like I want to make the declaration, I love everyone, I want peace on earth.
Yeah.
But, is this to a certain degree Israel's 9/11? I don't know.
Yeah.
Dawson, pull up F7. This is from the time of Israel. Egypt intelligence official says Israel ignored repeated warnings of something big. Cairo official says Israel focused on West Bank instead of Gaza. Egypt's spy chief said to warn Prime Minister of terrible operation. Netanyahu denies, as you stated. Mounting questions over Israel's massive intelligence failure to anticipate and prepare for a surprise Hamas assault were compounded Monday when an Egyptian intelligence official said that Jerusalem had ignored repeated warnings that the Gaza-based terror group was planning something big, which included an apparent direct notice from Cairo's intelligence minister to the prime minister. Now, first of all, it's not like this was just an attack that was planned, sporadically over the weekend. This would have probably been months in advance that this planning was done. And so it seems like Egypt, according to this article, had intelligence on that. This is the Times of Israel. It's not like we're going to Al Jazeera here for coverage. Do people understand that Netanyahu's popularity was like very bad? It was plummeting, becoming an authoritarian state.
He was being prosecuted, and it was different.
Yes,
it was different than a little bit different than what was going on with Trump. I mean, there's some parallels that some people draw, but that, and also Netanyahu was planning on taking away the independence of the judiciary.
Yep.
Yeah, so he was trying to make it so that the judiciary basically had no authority over anything, that the legislature could overrule anything by the judges, and it works the opposite in our country. We have separate but co-equal branches that are all designed to do separate tasks, and they all have to respect the order of what was done. And if you don't have that, if you have such a politically high climate disaster going on with Israel, with all the parties, and their entire political system is crazy. When you have all of that going on, you really want an independent judiciary that can, decipher it and be non-political and should be just for, justice. But obviously that's not the case.
We have a comment from Bad Hat Harry. He says some of the hardest intel to follow are small unit cell-based terrorist groups.
And that's a valid point. On a large-scale attack like this, I mean, I think the day of, hundreds had died, thousands were wounded, and then also a lot of people were held captive. This was a music festival kind of close to the Gaza border, and that's where I think they ended up penetrating and getting a lot of people. And it's brutal what these animals are doing right now. Like, Hamas is such a terrible, terrible organization. It's a terrorist organization that's a ruling party in the Gaza, the Palestinian state. By the way, I don't know. I mean, I guess you could make the argument, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, right? So why would Iran fund Hamas, which is Sunni Muslim, right? Not Shia Muslim like Iran, because they hate Israel. I guess it does make sense. Doesn't seem like this is passing the smell test. But the conspiracy out
And Iran
there,
hasn't taken credit for it. Iran has never taken credit for it. Hamas has been the one going forward and saying, yes, we worked in collaboration with Iran, but Hamas is willing to do anything and say anything to, make them to puff their chests out, look really strong. So this is what, that's what Hamas is doing. But Iran, as a country, and they haven't taken any kind of accountability for this.
what's
Bad
true?
Hat Harry just said 40 babies have been beheaded. Just released news from Newsmax.
Yeah,
That
I
is
saw that.
disgusting.
What?
Yeah.
Hamas did that?
Yep.
That's
Yeah,
so
but
babies.
gross.
and then I start watching these headlines, and I'm like, I don't know what to believe anymore.
Right, because I mean,
know.
look at how we are lied to
I
on
know.
everything. Babies and incubators in the first Iraq thing, and,
Right.
and weapons of mass
I know, it's
destruction,
hard,
and a lot of those beheadings that were happening, with ISIS and all that were staged. Like, I don't-
chemical weapons in Syria.
Yeah,
the
we don't
list goes
know.
on.
You don't know what? How do we know? We're not there.
No, we definitely don't know, and they do. They lie. They prop up war, and that's what seems to be happening here. Is they're propping up war. Here's the question I have, and I'd love to hear what you guys think at home. Are we already in World War III? We just don't know it. You know what I mean? Like it's the history books are going to eventually say something.
I would
right?
say we are. I would say, even this aside, I think there's like this, what they call fifth generation warfare that's been happening with the privileged class and this COVID scamdemic and taking away our rights and the biosecurity state that's being implemented and all of that. I think there's this, it is fifth generation warfare, but now for an actual hot war, I think we're right on the precipice.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, I don't think this is what started it. I think Ukraine, in many regards,
Yeah.
would be the big one. But that's
Yeah.
gone on since February. That's, year and a half now? February
Tucker
of
and Bad Hat
2020.
say yes to World War III.
Yeah, and we don't know because, it's the main global powers aren't feuding. They're on big battles. But it's just interesting. We have this podcast on Thursday about the pillars of stability, and then all of a sudden things have become way more unstable in such a short period of time. But this whole thing is so fragile. So then it leads us to this big conversation about what is America's response? What do we do? And then that gets tricky. So let's look, when we had the speaker fight, we were being lectured. And we did a breakdown of all the lies the Republican establishment saying. And one of the great ones is, it's only the Republicans that have infighting, right? They're always doing this publicly. The Democrats, they get along. It's like bullshit. So let's give you a great case in point. Dawson, pull up line F8. This is Democrat infighting. This is really interesting stuff. So the chairman of the Democrat Party, you can go to actionforliberty.com to read this story. Chairman of the Democrat Party, Ken Martin, is lecturing now the Democrat Socialist America in the Twin Cities. These radicals actually go to the street. They're protesting all the time. There's factions in the Democrat Party. I think most notably Ilhan Omar is part of this. In fact, I think I saw something about Chuck Schumer, someone trying to lecture the squad, the sissy squad. What do we call them?
Fraud
Jesse?
squad.
The fraud squad. Yep. Because they're making what they call anti-Semitic remarks. So Ken Martin says that in a tweet. In fact, I've got the tweet here on. Why don't you go to the tweet and let's click on that because it's actually kind of long. He takes a post by Amy Schumer, the comedian activist. So
That's the Ilhan one.
You guys got to start labeling your tweets.
what's that?
It's in the article, right?
Yeah, it's right in the article.
Okay.
So Ken Martin says, to every member of the Twin Cities DSA, so the Democrat Socialists of America, and their supporters who defend their garbage anti-Semitic statement, read this post from Amy Schumer and then let's talk. Until then, stop justifying the cold-blooded murder of men, women, and children by terrorists, period, and stop. So these are harsh words from the Democrat Party chair here in Minnesota against the socialist base of his party. This is what Amy Schumer says. This is the post that he puts on it. It looks like it's an
Why is he
Instagram
quoting
post.
Amy Schumer? Amy
Yeah.
Schumer has any kind of credibility on this. First of all, she's a comedian, not a well-respected one, not one that anybody really finds funny. Why are we listening to Amy Schumer? Shouldn't there be some, Israel expert or something that Ken Martin could quote? But Amy Schumer is the best he could find. It's
Right.
pathetic. It's
Well,
weird.
Look at what Tucker, because I'm gonna tear this apart here. So Tucker posts an Alpha News article. Minneapolis protesters stand with Palestine after Hamas terror attacks. Let's click on that right there. Or just why don't you pull up Alpha News what is it? Alpha News alphanews.org.
Yeah.
Alphanews.org. Alpha News never willing to go as hard in the paint as us. But see, I think this is going to be somewhat fake news because they're... Actually, what am I doing? I can't read off the screen. Because what I see happening here...
See, around 100 people were gathered in front of the building, waving Palestinian flags and holding up signs with statements such as...
Stop
Free
Israel
Palestine.
genocide.
Yeah.
So what group is protesting? Is this the Socialist Democrats that are behind Palestine? in
If
this
you
incident?
read this headline, you would be led to believe that what they're basically saying is they're for the Hamas attacks, okay? I don't think that's probably what's going on here, okay? Because it says stop Israel genocide, free Palestine. We have to look at this on both sides of the issue. Israel's response is to target civilian populations in the Gaza.
They've been doing it. They've killed 300 people
they've
this
killed
year.
lots of men,
They
women, and children.
bulldoze homes with people inside of them.
Correct. And so it's like we can't have nuances in this conversation.
Not if
Does
you don't want to get
anyone
labeled by
here-
the ADL.
Yeah.
Does anyone around here actually believe what Hamas did? Hamas is a terrible organization. What they did was justified. I don't think you'll find someone to say that.
I don't think
But it
violence
doesn't
is
mean
good.
because you want free Palestine or to stop the genocide that you condone the attacks of Hamas. You just don't want more innocent lives being killed. And this is more and more what I think of these days is, well, Tucker says too
Yeah,
bad.
too
It's
bad
war.
is-
It's not too bad. This is it. We, just normal people, we have these political powers that don't give a shit about our lives. And we want this like team mentality. And meanwhile, a lot of innocent people are going to be killed.
It's pretty nasty to look at the numbers because, like, is it what was the 300 that Israel killed? 300.
Approximately like 280 or so. I
Well,
don't
they're
know.
saying it's like close to 1,000 at this point.
Well, in this.
Well, no, in this conflict here, but up
Yeah.
through this year,
Yeah.
I think
Pretty
Israel
much.
has
Oh, gotcha.
killed,
Yeah, okay.
you know.
So through this year, 300 people.
I
Just
think
over
so.
the weekend, Hamas has killed 1,600.
Yeah, and it's
Israeli
Yeah,
it's
it's
horrible.
civilians.
Any violence like this, it's not. And how much of it, you know, it's unfortunate. This, like the religious part of this, you know, it's just they're fighting over this land. Whose land is it? Whose was it? And we could argue. You know, you can argue over that. Is this Israel's land? It what, you know, it was Palestinian territory, and now it's been kind of granted, I think, by England in the 40s to the Israelis.
Yeah, the Rothschilds.
And they keep pushing against the Palestinians. I mean, I don't know. It's dangerous territory, like we talked about. Like, whose side are you on here? I don't know. I'm just on the side of not killing people.
Exactly. You know, that was one of the best comments Trump said during the CNN debate. I mean, I'm sorry,
Town
CNN
hall,
town
yeah.
hall. Right? It was basically a debate with him and what's her name? Katrina or whatever.
Yeah, I don't even remember.
Whatever her name is. You're a really nasty person. But she's just like, Mr. Trump, do you condemn the war or
No,
whatever?
she was saying pick a side.
Yeah, pick a
Basically.
side,
Yeah,
like,
she was
do
saying,
you-
are you for Russia or are you for Ukraine? He
Yes.
said, I want people to stop dying. And,
Yes,
you know,
I was like,
that's the same rule here.
exactly. Trump is right on the money. We want people to stop dying, but people get in this team mentality, and they're led to believe that through the lying corporate media and the political powers that be. The globalists want you to pick sides. Okay? Now, listen, obviously, when you look at institutions, Israel much more democratic, much better than a lot of the Arab world, no doubt about it, 100%. And you can't ignore history. Also have a little sympathy for the fact the reason we have an Israeli state in the first place is because of the tragic Holocaust and what happened in Russia. However, we're always led to pick these sides. And I don't care if you're a 6-year-old Israeli or a 6-year-old Palestinian. You're a 6-year-old child, and I have a 6-year-old child.
And we were talking before too. You know, when you bomb indiscriminately, when you kill innocent people, all that does is create more terrorists. Because you know, if your family member is killed by a government, if it's the state of Israel that killed your kid, your son or daughter, you're going to be declaring war on them, and you'd have pretty much every right to. Because if someone is killing your family, if someone's killing your loved ones, you can't expect people not to fight, and that turns them into a terrorist.
It's right. Yeah, I can imagine you get your child killed or your wife killed or your whole family killed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, have you guys ever seen or read the books? What's it called? Dang it, what's it called?
The Bible.
Chris Pratt plays this Navy SEAL. Why is the name slipping my mind? It's such a great.
I know what you're saying.
show.
I can't think of it either, but I know what you're saying.
Jack Carr wrote the books. Someone at home help me out here. I'm slipping my mind right now. Anyhow, his family's basically killed, and it's just about him getting vengeance.
Yeah.
So good. So good. I don't know. I can't think of the name of it.
It seems like it's not congruent. The Israel bombing the apartment building. All we know right now so far is that it was an apartment complex that was bombed.
Oh, I've seen City Center. Terminal S. Thank you, Greg.
Versus
Terminal S. Really good.
Versus Hamas, like actively beheading babies. There's a different. I don't want anybody bombed either, but that's a non-answer. That's a cop-out. Nobody wants anybody bombed ever.
Oh, Hamas. But Hamas obviously really bad. They're the
right.
thugs.
They're the ones that
people.
are instigating it, right?
Yes, but my concern is
that's debatable.
Innocent.
Yeah, that's debatable.
Yeah,
I mean, they're both instigating it, Israel and Palestine.
Israel's bulldozing buildings with women and children inside.
Yeah, kicking people out of their homes.
Mark, will you send me one of those just like in an email? Because I'm curious. I've never heard that, and I want to see it. What were you saying, Jesse?
Oh yeah, no, I mean just like Mark was saying, yeah, and even with the 1940s, with the reoccupation of Israel, they were kicking people out of their homes. It's been ongoing ever since they've reclaimed regions, and it's one of those tough things. I mean, can you kick somebody out of their home because you say you're the true owner of that land? It's one of those things that's been an ongoing conflict that's continued on for thousands of years.
Right, and I'm not saying this, but there are people who say that it's an apartheid state.
Yeah,
Israel is,
What is that?
it's an apartheid.
I'm not saying.
I'm not, because I'm not an expert.
Trump.
I've just, in the last week, ironically enough, before this thing even happened, I've been looking into this whole Abrahamic eschatology and end times revelations, and where did the Jews sit, where do the Christians, Islam, all that. So I was actually looking into it, but there's all kinds of people saying it's an apartheid. I don't know, but it could be, looked at in that way.
To the Jews, this land is God-given land, similar to a God-given right, if you will.
Well, of course, and that's why we're here.
Yeah.
This is got to be the most massive screw up in foreign policy in world history, I would imagine, right? Because look, ever since I was a young pup, the old saying was peace in the Middle East, right? Remember the celebrities? These guys are young, but the celebrities used to say, and I want peace in the Middle East. That was like the quintessential thing that Miss America would say, right?
Yeah.
What do you want in this world?
Yeah.
I want peace in the Middle East, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, it will never happen at this point. Go ahead.
Paywall says T-Wall and I are eating hibachi in Roseville. Want takeout team?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, I do.
Yeah, we do want
Yes.
takeout. And holy cow,
Nice.
hibachi in Roseville, you're nearby. In
Nice.
fact,
Yeah, really close
I think
by.
I know where
Have
they're
them
at.
join.
We should come join. We should
would be
do
fun.
hibachi someday with you.
That'd be fun.
Loving hibachi.
Well, okay, so my point was
Now that's
with,
all I can think of.
Yeah.
with the God-given right, the God-given land, wouldn't you fight tooth and nail for that God-given right?
100%.
If you believe in that,
I'm talking about the Jews, which do believe that, yeah.
Right. So, but does the rest of the world believe that? I mean, who believes that? I mean,
Yeah.
Do they need to?
well,
Kind of, yeah. I
That's
mean,
kind
you
of
gotta have
like,
respect
so
for
what if I
borders
believe it's my God-given right that I own this building?
Yeah.
Well, according to Peggy Flanagan, who, by the way, did you know she's tribal? Did you know that? I don't know if you guys knew that. She's indigenous. We're all on indigenous people's land.
Yeah.
So what are we doing here? We shouldn't be here.
Mm-hmm.
How long did they kick us out? Amy Schumer, going back to her post, it looks like it's on Instagram. This is the comedian.
Yeah. Something.
I don't think you can call it.
It's kind of
Well-known
funny to watch.
person.
It's kind of funny to watch comics like disown her, like not. I mean, she's really been shunned in the community.
Yeah.
Never in my years as an activist have I seen other No, this is the comedian Amy Schumer. Never in my years as I wonder why you're comic
Comedy career.
on.
comedy career. why your comedy career is imploding? Never in my years as an activist have I seen other activists, upon seeing footage of little girls being killed and dragged through streets, immediately find the burning need to go on the internet and justify their deaths. Have you guys seen this?
No.
I haven't seen this.
No, I haven't either.
No.
I've never seen, like you were saying, I haven't seen anybody defend the Hamas attacks. I haven't seen anybody doing that. I've just seen people saying that, some people say, well, Israel does it too, which, like we're saying, sometimes that does happen. And
this is over the top.
Right.
I mean, this is. What Hamas just did is over
That's
the top.
That's the point, though. Everyone agrees with that,
Yeah,
Mark.
everyone.
No one's standing up for that. She acts like because you don't want Palestinian children to die, then you're equating it to be, or you're justifying, and this seems to be what Ken Martin's saying, justifying what Hamas did. That's such a stretch. It's just a lie. It's literally a lie. And the corporate media and the lying politicians want to keep compounding this lie. And to the point where they're so bad at it, they have to quote activist Amy Schumer.
Yeah.
So she goes on,
Bad
for complete
activist.
clarity, because she obviously hasn't been clear yet. For complete clarity, the only reason you do this is because you have been made to believe that the killing of Jews can even be justified. Because every civilization is taught that the life of a Jew is less valuable than your own. It's the Hitler playbook. This is a comedian.
Yeah, I mean,
Hold on, let me finish
every
it.
civilization. That's crazy.
That's bullshit.
It is bullshit. 100% bullshit. Certainly America doesn't
What
believe
about
that.
the Israeli civilization, which teaches them that they have a right to, automatically own land? That they're, that
Well,
they're
she's
God's
obviously
chosen
referring to
people.
anyone but that. But I'm like, our civilization doesn't believe that.
Yeah, exactly. There's never been any kind of law.
But you got to be careful. The rise of anti-Semitism around America. That's what
what
we've
they
been
claim.
lectured here with Kanye West, who everyone knows is a nutcase.
Yeah.
Your anti-Semitism is not unconscious. It is so deeply rooted in your bones, and you are so comfortable with it, you are not even able to consider its impact on your friends, which is no longer Amy Schumer, because it sounds like this is like a message or a post to her past friends who are no longer friends anymore, because she doesn't like that they might consider the lives of children in the Gaza.
Well,
And all this whole conversation we're having, I didn't know if we should talk about it. We were at the meeting this morning, and we're like, what should we talk about? And it's like, I don't know if we should be talking about Israel. It's not really about our mission. We're more focused on American domestic policy. And then we just went on about how ridiculous this is, and that there is another side to what's being told. And I guess that's why we had to do the show, is because you're just going to hear one side, the Fox News talking points. You're going to hear that side.
Well, this could affect all of us. We don't know
100%.
what's going to, this is going to escalate to. And what Hamas did is there's no excuse. It's horrible. I don't think, and like I did look, Dawson, I just finding that they bulldoze homes, whether or not these accusation of people inside, I don't know. But what Hamas just did is horrendous. And I'm against any of that. I don't care. Religion aside, any war. I mean, we're taught as kids. I've thought this since I was 7, 8 years old. What the fuck? These countries are at war, killing people, civilians. We were taught from day one, you can always work it out with words. But yet it's the governments of this fucked up world that kill more people than you could ever even fathom.
But you know what, Mark? We need to be concerned about gun violence in America.
Right.
That's it, because that kills so many people. Great point. Like governments kill more people than any.
It's the number one cause of death in the world.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, other than maybe mosquitoes, malaria, right? I don't know. I
Governments.
think it probably beats that, doesn't it?
Statism, governments.
Right. Well, yeah. Certainly in the 20th century, it did killed tens of millions of people. What were you gonna say?
Gosh,
Dawson?
I had it, and it was a really, really solid, good point.
Did I just assert my
And now it's
Christian
gone.
privilege over you?
Oh,
Sorry.
man, what was it?
Sorry
Well,
about
I
that.
got some. So one thing, Joe Biden and Lloyd Austin, the Defense Secretary of the United States, they're already announcing that we are going to support Israel. We are going to be funding weapons. We are going to be funding ships and airplanes. We're going to be funding tanks, all kinds of things for Israel. And if that commitment is made just on the onset without, a lot of the establishment, they're saying we do not need to investigate the Hamas attack. We do not need to get to the bottom of it right now. We got more important things to deal with. We need to fight the war first, and then we can figure things out later. And that's totally the wrong mindset entirely, because if you're willing to make rash judgments without understanding all of the facts, And usually if they're saying that they don't want to uncover all the facts, if they don't want an investigation, that means they're covering something up. That means that maybe Israel knew about it. Maybe Netanyahu knew about it beforehand. Maybe he let it slip through his fingers, kind of like 9/11, like you had mentioned before, that you said that this is Israel's 9/11. And if you would have asked people right after 9/11, was this an inside job? Almost nobody would have said it back then. But the more investigation that happened, the more that people dug into it, the more that you were allowed to think about it, the more people were questioning it. I already think that there are more people now questioning these attacks right now than there was about 9/11 at the time. So it just goes to show that people don't trust the government anymore. We don't trust the mainstream media. We don't trust the narrative that they're pushing, and we have every right to question it.
I remember what I was going to say really quick with the whole like nobody should die, people should just solve stuff with words, that kind of thing. Historically, hasn't worked out super great for Israel. That's why Israel has taken on this mindset. I don't have many political opinions. Israel's the big one. That's where I'm like pretty damn, what is it, nationalist? Is that what you call it? I don't know. But you have to hit back with a stick. You have to, like, if someone's beating you down on the school playground, you can't just sit there and take it.
Sure,
right?
but that's for Israel. It's not for us. It's not our responsibility.
No,
Israel is our ally, but it's
I'm
not
back
our responsibility.
No, I'm back a topic.
Yeah.
I'm not speaking on what America should do. Israel themselves are absolutely, like, they need to fight back. You can't just sit down and take it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, and you can only imagine someone born in Israel. This is the reality of your world.
Yeah, who can argue with that?
I've had several
like-
college professors from Israel, like, who were born and raised in Israel, and they all served in the military, like you do
You
when
have
you're
to.
18, all that stuff.
Mhm.
And this is like probably, I mean, if it's not earth-shattering, they were all pretty old, but if they were a little younger, I bet they'd be flying right back to be fighting at this point.
Mhm.
Fierce.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, my point was just it's unfortunate that governments can't work things out that based on, political ideology and religious ideology here for sure, where it causes so much violence. It's just, 99% of the people in this world just want to get through the day and in peace.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't know if that can happen in the Middle East at
No.
this point. I mean, we keep talking about the peace in the Middle East. I don't know what the end of this is, and
It's
sad.
not possible. Here's a little fun fact for you. In Jewish teachings and stuff, it's pretty damn written down. Like, you're never gonna have peace, and you know why? It's because the golden calf. That whole incident, God was like, okay, well, guess you are gonna be persecuted forever.
There you
Good
go.
luck.
Biblical scholar, Torah scholar.
10 years, baby.
Dawson.
But it's not like the Jews are being persecuted by
So-
it's Hamas, but like it's not like the whole world is against Jews. It's like they throw out the anti-Semitism stuff all the time. They say everyone and their mother is a anti-Semite. It's like, for what? It doesn't make any sense. I'm basically America first. That means that allies second, which Israel's an ally. That's good. We'd rather have friends in this world than enemies, but America first means that we take care of our own first. And, why are we and this is what the divide is right now. We're going to see there's going to be Democrats that are pro-Ukraine, anti-Israel. Some will be pro-Ukraine, pro-Israel. And then the Republicans will see the same kind of divide, anti-Ukraine, anti-Israel, and then anti-Ukraine, pro-Israel.
There's no anti-Israel, though. You can't be.
Yeah,
I
what do you
don't know.
mean by
Yeah,
anti-Israel in this context.
Maybe anti-Israel funding, right?
Yeah.
And we'll see if there's any Republicans who actually step up to the plate on
Is
this
there
one.
a single politician out there that's saying we should withdraw our $4 billion a year to Israel? I don't think
Ilhan Omar for
Vivek
sure.
Vivek kind of
had to pull back.
Yeah,
on that,
he
though.
pulled back on it, but he dipped his toe into it for a little bit, saying eventually we can maybe pull back aid. But since he backtracked right away, it makes me think that he's probably no different than most of them on it.
Yeah, we don't really trust him, do we?
No, not yet.
Fake, he's called him.
Yeah.
Ramaswampy.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think the only people that I could see be against the funding is probably on the left, is Ilhan Omar and the fraud squad, probably.
And we'd be
Yeah.
wrong to not mention that, I don't know what percentage, but a large percentage of federal politicians have dual citizenship with Israel. If you look that up, you'd be amazed.
Wow.
And almost
And
all of them
why?
are APAC endorsed.
Why?
Dual citizenship comes from being Jewish.
Yeah, you get it automatically.
So if a politician is Jewish, they have dual citizenship. That's why it's not a big mystery.
Yeah, but I
We
think
know.
Mark's right that it's not just
not
all
just the
Jewish
Jewish
people. Like
people,
they
no,
get
it's-
ceremonial citizenship.
It's a
That-
lot.
That I don't know about, but I
It's
do
a
know.
lot.
Yeah.
Well, and
Yesterday-
Bill Clinton was, given a rabbi status by Israel.
He's
so-
got dual citizenship. He's not Jewish.
Yeah,
Yesterday at 5:57.
Bush does.
I get,
really.
Of course. Yesterday at 5:57, I get a text from APEC. Jake, Israel needs help. Terrorists are killing children. Tell Congress to pass legislation supporting Israel, and then it gives me a link. How am I on their list all of a sudden, by the way?
Yeah.
Who sold my data to them? But they're trying to rally the troops now. I don't know what that ends up meaning. I go to the website and it's just like some blank resolution. Here's a story: Israel war. Eric Adams, so New York City mayor Eric Adams warns of terror attack on New York City by lone wolves radicalized by Hamas. It's like the scare tactics here. Now that's the other thing about this. So if you're going to go down the conspiracy route, okay, a lot of people believe this. I'm not saying I do. Netanyahu dropping popularity amongst his population. They went authoritarianism on vaccines. People mandating the it was the Pfizer jab. I think it was the Pfizer jab in Israel. And I think they're the highest vaccinated population, or one of the highest.
Yeah.
The judicial reforms obviously very unpopular. Netanyahu's been in power so long. He's like
on and off.
prime minister, right?
Really,
Yeah, it was in the 90s and then pretty much 2006 on.
really quick. I'm doing my research. Bill Clinton was technically Jewish. His mom was. So it's
So yeah, as far as dual citizenship, it's huge. I mean, there's a huge list. I mean, the Obama administration. I mean, there's just this massive list: Rahm Emanuel, Axelrod, Kagan, Orzog, and then you go. There's 13 United States senators at least, and there's 27 House reps at least. I mean, the list just goes on. I don't know why. I'm not for or against it.
It's one of those things that you just don't see any kind
and
of.
it used to be illegal.
Right. You don't see that with another country. It's only Israel. You don't see another country where all these politicians
why not
have
French?
dual citizenship. Right. Exactly. Why not in France? Yeah. It's
because there's no other country that does it like Israel does.
Well,
Israel's a Jewish nation, so
well,
if
Israel.
you're
Yeah. I
Jewish-
mean,
These
there's
people
no
aren't
country like
Jewish,
Israel
though.
trying to buy politicians in America that openly gets away with it.
China?
Yeah, I know, but China has to cover it up. Israel, they're openly
that's
APAC.
true, yeah.
If there was a CPAC, except it was the Chinese Communist Political Action Committee, people would be all over that. People would
they
say
just do it
we can't
covertly
let
for
China
Hunter
control
Biden.
our elections. Say what?
Vegas, Minnesota says we need to distinguish between Zionist Jews and Jews that run a deli.
Yeah, there's a difference.
Some of the best comedians are Jews.
Yeah, Ari Shafir.
Yeah, Ari Shafir.
Yeah.
His special on Jews or just
Yeah.
called Jews. That's pretty good.
that
That's-
whole thing where it's like you'd be surprised how many people are Jewish is freaking everywhere, not just in the government. It's like comedians, celebrities, like it's crazy.
Well, that was Adam Sandler's song back in the 90s. You remember this?
Oh, yeah.
The Light the Menorah.
Yeah, it was
time
the
for
Jewish
Hanukkah,
Christmas
Happy Hanukkah.
song.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Jewish Christmas.
Tucker says 11 Americans dead, 2 U.S. congressmen were in Israel when war started. Booker and Goldman had to shelter from rockets.
Yeah.
Was that from Hamas attacks?
Yeah. Bang those drums louder. We're going to go into it. We're
Yeah,
obviously
we got to get
we
our
got-
citizens out of there.
We got the mayor of New York City now threatening that this is coming here, right?
Yeah, but maybe Eric Adams is giving us a warning of what Netanyahu never told his people. Maybe Eric Adams has gained some insight on something, but it does feel strange for him to be making that claim without us expecting anything like that. But yeah, I don't know what to make exactly of what Eric Adams is saying on that one.
What's this tweet on Ilhan Omar? Let's
Yeah,
read
so
this. You
that's
put it
just
on
I
here.
just wanted to show to
Yep.
kind of highlight the differences between what Ken Martin is saying and what Ilhan Omar is saying. Go ahead and scroll up a little bit there, Dawson, to the top of it. Yep. So she says Gaza's 2+ million population are mostly children who live under blockade in what Israel's own former intelligence chief has called an open-air prison. The overwhelming majority live in poverty. Many suffer lifelong psychological and physical trauma. Just as we honor the humanity of the hundreds of innocent Israeli civilians and 9 Americans who were killed this weekend, we must honor the humanity of those innocent Palestinian civilians who have been killed and whose lives are upended. Palestinian residents of West Bank have been scarcely better lives than the Gazans, with the routine destruction of their ancestral homes, destruction of their crops, and violent attacks by Israeli settlers. According to Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, the UN, and the Israeli Human Rights Group, these policies meet the definition of apartheid. We know occupation and systematic apartheid are a violation of international law, and it must end. And she goes on a little bit further from there, going into this stuff. But it shows clearly the divide that's going on within the Democratic Party between, Ken Martin. Of course, he's going to spout the Israeli talking points. He's the vice chair of the Democratic National Committee. You don't get that kind of spot unless you're going to, tout the party line and say what you need to say when you're told to say it. So it's interesting. And also we know that the DFL has been working night and day to try to get rid of Ilhan. Jacob Fry and these others have all been, backing their own candidates, trying to get something to happen within the primary there. And on this issue, I agree with what Ilhan's saying to an extent, but I wish that she would just understand, if you want to be anti-war, you shouldn't just care when Muslims are involved. She should also care about it with this Ukrainian conflict. She should also be the one, she could be the only Democrat within the entire Congress to stand up and say that we need to, withdraw some of the funding that we're doing for Ukraine, that we can't, fund all of the wars in the world. So I wish Ilhan Omar had some consistency on it, but I can at least appreciate that she is skeptical of funding for Israel in this moment.
Maybe that's a big partition between us and her on some of this stuff, is that she's not consistent. We are.
Yeah.
It's like you look at our own interest first.
I think she's only looking at it from a Muslim perspective.
I think so.
I think she
but
only
that's,
cares
once again,
when
the
it's...
same thing you say about Jews and looking at the Holy Land, same thing with Muslims. But see, I don't buy in that she's Muslim first. She's
because she also,
she's a socialist.
That's the socialism, and then also she's with the LGBTQIA, all that stuff, which, also so are the Muslim legislators in Minnesota,
which
the Omar Fateh.
And Muslims don't agree with.
Right.
Yeah.
100% don't agree with that.
Yeah. And they're mutilations for different reasons.
She's a Marxist first, and then a Muslim.
What does Nikki Haley have to say?
Yeah, and I also threw in what Nikki Haley had to say, because obviously, neocon Nikki, what is she going to say about Israel? I guess you can guess.
Like, here's the blank check.
Yeah, remember when she said that in the debate? She said, America doesn't need Israel doesn't need America. America needs Israel. That just showed me, okay, you're Israel first, America second, which, if that's good enough for some people, that's good enough for some people.
She really said that?
Yeah, she said that in the first debate, that we don't need Israel. Israel doesn't need us. We need Israel. So that's her position. She thinks that, Israel is more important than the United States of America.
Wow.
Let's see. So what did she tweet?
It's not a tweet. It's a little video that I put in there.
Oh, okay. Let's watch the video.
Because I want the American people to kind of take this in for a second. Just imagine that here the Israelis woke up and communities were bombarded, families were murdered, women and children were taken hostage, dragged through the streets. The elderly were taken. All of this.
You can barely hear it?
Yeah, what's going on?
It's loud as...
Yeah, it's a little soft.
It's really soft. And I get this all the time. People say in the comments that...
Yeah, I have heard that all the time,
It's just fine for them, too.
No,
Maybe
it's not.
A little quiet, but...
Das, I'm telling you, people...
I've listened. I
want Tucker says
there we go.
To kind of take this in for a second. Just imagine that here the Israelis woke up and communities were bombarded, families were murdered, women and children were taken hostage, dragged through the streets, the elderly were taken. All of this has happened in front of everyone, on top of thousands of rockets that hit Israel. This should be personal for every woman and man in America. Why? Because when they did this surprise attack, when they took these hostages, when they murdered these families, they were celebrating. And what were they celebrating? They were saying death to Israel, death to America. This is not just an attack on Israel. This is an attack on America, because they hate us just as much. America.
See, I can't even... What you're listening to is not a person here. You're listening to a person, a thing that's just reiterating the talking points you have to reiterate, right? Like, we're not listening to an individual talk. We're listening to talking points. Not her thoughts.
It's a robot.
Yeah.
It's a robot. It's so robotic.
Is she even a real
and
human
that is
being?
Washington D.C. in a nutshell, and that's not just the Republicans.
So
That's
they
the
were
Democrats.
celebrating. You know what that made me think of?
What's
Should
that?
I say it? The Israelis that were celebrating when the Twin Towers dropped. They
What
were
is
set-
real?
What are you talking
You haven't
about?
heard that?
No.
I'm,
right, I will
I'm going to
send-
start taking everything Mark says with salt.
There you go. Fact check him.
All right, I will send you verifiable evidence of that.
Verify. Well, do you have the evidence right now?
Yeah, I'll look it up.
Yeah, I haven't heard of this.
You haven't heard of that?
No.
All the things people don't hear.
But not that. I mean,
Yeah, right.
How many million? What is the population of Israel?
Oh, I don't know.
I can look it up.
Yeah,
In a second.
you'd figure
I mean,
over
there
a
could
million,
be
maybe.
couple. It could be a couple that are right.
3-something million. I think that's what Ben Shapiro said.
Could be a vocal
Dancing
minority.
Israelis, Mark. You're giving Dawson a lot to watch.
Watch
Yeah,
the
Muslims,
documentary
the doctor
Newman.
says right,
It's in
Muslims
there.
do
There's a
celebrate
lot
it.
in there.
Yeah.
Napinator says all these idiot politicians are giddy for war, but I worry how it's dividing the populace.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah, it
five
says
dancing
9.3
Israelis.
million for population of Israel.
5.3 million.
Yeah,
Okay.
not
Does that
not
include
9
Gaza,
point, no,
though?
9.3.
Well, you know what's
Wow.
scary?
Yeah, but does
Wow.
that includes the Gaza, right?
No, it says Palestine is 4.9 million.
So it's differentiating.
I guess I don't know. Yeah, who knows how they're what they're
Because
calculating?
I'm pretty
there.
sure the largest population of Jews outside of Israel
So here-
certainly is America, but it's I almost want to say it was in New York.
So the FBI arrested the 5 Israelis that were dancing,
Hmm.
and they were filming and celebrating. They were set up in a location across from. They could view the towers, and they were set up ahead of time. It's proven, and they were recording the buildings dropping.
Yeah, but what is that really saying? It's like you saying, yeah, and the Christians dancing and celebrating the death of American soldiers. Like, no, that's the idiot Westboro Baptist Church. Are they technically Christians? Yes, but they don't speak for the
Well,
community.
the thing is did they know it was happening? That's the problem.
Not the numbnuts is dancing. Like, no,
You should.
come on, Mark.
All right.
If
I
you're
mean-
an idiot, you're dancing there. You're not. You have nothing to do with the thing.
Yeah, but
There's a
remember,
rabbit hole you can go down where
clearly there's a rabbit hole you can go down.
they got these 5 people got illegal licenses from these people that were arrested in Tennessee where you don't have to have a social security number. This shit goes deep, man. This isn't just me spouting some crazy shit. This is like but you can't talk about this stuff.
Base Minnesota says,
Yeah.
Mark, I think you and I have viewed the same content. Most of it would blow people's minds. And Jake, it means that Israel had advanced knowledge of the attack.
Yes, let's talk
we
about
had it. We had advanced knowledge of the tech. My God, Alex Jones said that we were going to be attacked by Osama bin Laden. He
Yeah.
said that like
And hit the
months
World Trade
before.
Center.
Bush knew.
Yeah.
And
Right.
then it's like we don't know what's happening. And like we were talking before the show, did Israel steal nuclear technology and did they get their nuclear weapons from us? Are we supposed to know whether or not they have nukes? We don't know all this stuff. We don't know what the hell's happening in this world.
Well, the
And it's-
idea, I guess, the idea here behind that conspiracy is that Israelis would want to pin the attack on Muslims, and therefore we're fighting their enemies. with
We
this big global
balkanized
war.
the whole Muslim world. I mean, think of it from an Israeli point of view. There's 1 billion Muslims surrounding like 20 million Jewish people. Of
Right.
course, and it's this religious war kind of a thing. You know, I don't know. I'm just here to look for facts. I don't know what's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and the BBC, I mean, it was the same kind of thing where, the tower was still up
Yeah,
behind them.
it's-
They're
whatever.
doing a reporting
Of
about
course,
9/11.
that was bullshit.
Yeah. I
Of
mean,
course
it's like there's so
9/11
much
was-
out there that
Do you
they're,
think YouTube takes us down? What do you think?
I think
mean,
9/11.
it's just-
I
this
think
is the thing
you're
about
allowed
the
to be
show.
skeptical of 9/11.
Yeah,
I think
yes,
9/11.
I know,
They forgot about that
That
one.
it didn't
We're
happen.
just having a conversation on the show. That's what I can't stand is that I feel like YouTube's going to take this down because we can't. I know, but we can't have this conversation. It's an interesting conversation. The one thing I've learned, and I've had a much humble experience coming out of COVID. I thought I knew a lot more about the world before COVID, right? I'm sure a lot of you guys have felt this way too. You thought you knew a little bit more about the world, and then all of a sudden you have a global pandemic and you see the lies. It's like, maybe I don't know as much about the world, right? Maybe there's a lot that hasn't been shared. When we really still can't declassify the JFK files after 60 years, like what threat to national security is there? It's like, kind of lying. And I've been listening to Joe Rogan talk about this a lot lately. And we've talked, obviously, we've had some alien shows on here. They've actually done very well. But it's like, the more they talk about aliens, the more I have a feeling the government is lying to us about that too, right? There's such mass
Crazy
delusions
world.
and lies. There's so many psyops these guys run. We
Yeah.
know about false flag events.
Yeah, I
We
saw
know that
someone
stuff
say something that
happens.
said, I believed in aliens until Hillary Clinton said they were real. You know, so basically
Yeah.
it's like, oh, hold on, wait. Hillary's with us? Never mind. Never mind. Abandon ship.
Yeah, too many conspiracies, Bad Hat Harry says. But, you know, a lot of our COVID thoughts were conspiracy theories. And, boy, we've been pretty much proven right on all of them. Like 100%, it seems like. Miles for Trump. The banned videos from Israel. Hundreds of people dead on the street. Watch here. And it's so sad. Once again, we got to get back to the humanity side of this thing. Is a lot of dead people on both sides. It sucks. And it's just what I see happening. And that's why I'm just pro the small guy, pro the regular person. Because I see these political powers. They feud. They want the team mentality. You get the non-thinking Nikki Haley's that says this is attacking America and that's why we should write the blank check and get into war with us. I mean, I don't even know. It's scary to think like how far Nikki Haley would go with all this kind of stuff.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Yeah, she'd send us to war. You know, that's
With
what I think
Iran,
about. Same
probably,
thing. Yeah. Yeah, she wants war with Iran. She's blaming Iran for all of this, even though, like I said, Iran hasn't taken credit for it. You know, and it's just kind of like ISIS used to do that too. ISIS used to claim, you know, success with terrorist attacks that they had no involvement in it at all. So, you know, terrorists are going to claim victory over anything. And yeah, it scares me, you know, as a young guy, I'm not going to war. I'm not going to go. If Nikki Haley or Tim Scott or any of these other dopes get in there and then they want to tell us that we got to go to war with the Ukraine, you got to go to war in Israel, you know, I'll be a conscientious objector. There's no way. You know, the only war that needs to be fought is a war for, you know, in the situation where America's borders are, you know, if we're being invaded to protect our own country, that's when you fight a war, but you don't fight a war for others.
Right. So, you know, there's no doubt that these guys want to go to war with Iran, and you do see them talking about that and making that quick connection.
Lindsey Graham's been saying it for years.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, that was...
Who was the general that said there were the 6 countries? This was back 15 years ago.
Yeah, right.
Wesley. He said there were 6
Wesley
countries. Clark
Uh-huh.
said there were 6
Oh,
countries
right.
we were going to take out, and you know, we've gotten through a few of them. Iran, we haven't.
Yeah.
Syria's on that
But
list.
see, here's the
Syria,
thing about
Iraq,
Iran is
Afghanistan.
Iran, once again, it's the same thing. The average Iranian, or at least the Iranian, a lot of the Iranians, there's a large component of westernized Iranians. They're good people in Iran.
I think most people, even Palestinians, I'm sure your average Palestinian just wants to fucking go to work and come home and have dinner.
Yeah.
And
care
same
about
with,
their family.
Like you said,
exactly.
you got a 6-year-old. I've got kids. Most people just don't want this.
They don't want this
No-
stuff.
nobody
the war
wants
is the
this.
stuff the powers to be do, and they do this to perpetuate.
And unfortunately, the world is run by psychopaths.
What do you got, Dustin?
Hamas.
The only people that want that is Hamas. So when you've got that group going and being like, our goal is to demolish the Jewish people, there's your bad guy right there. And this is more so for like...
But you know, people could say who started it.
Well, regardless
Well,
of who started it, that is like what Hamas is all about.
That's
Yeah, and here's the problem with Hamas.
Yeah, but I
is
mean,
they
there's
use
Jews
hold on.
that do the same
Hamas
thing.
Fight
uses
over the Holy
civilian
Land.
targets. They
Hold on.
use
So
buildings.
There's Jews that do the same thing, maybe,
Yeah,
but
of
Hamas
course.
is built around that. That's its
Yeah,
core.
it's literally like it's organization's goal. Like they're them as a group.
I know, but
there's
I
gonna
could
be a
say
few
Israel's
crazy
goal
Jews
is
that
to
are like-
overtake Palestine.
You'd be wrong.
No,
That's
I mean,
pretty easy.
that's the truth. Their goal, you know, back in the 40s and even now is to overtake Palestine.
I mean, certainly that's what they would love
I mean,
to do.
see, look at right here within this room. There's conflict, and it's over religion and wondering who owns the Holy Land.
Right.
You know, it's really unfortunate. I just want to fucking have my kids live in a peaceful world, and it's looking like it's not going to happen.
Well, and that's the beauty of America is we got these great big oceans protecting us, and you think that we can live peacefully. Do you know the story of Jewel's family? Jewel, the singer. I don't know why I can't think of their name. The Kilchers? I think it's the Kilchers. They're from the show The Alaska Last Frontier. You don't know, you've seen the show, right? Alaska Last Frontier?
No, I don't.
Well,
maybe I've seen
okay,
little,
maybe you guys aren't
little
crazy like
pieces
me.
of it.
Anything Alaska, and I automatically watch.
I watch Alone. You've seen that one?
Yeah,
Oh,
I've
Alone.
seen
Alone.
that,
Alone's
yeah.
good. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes you kind of be nice to do that.
Yeah, I'd love to.
But then I miss my family too much.
I'd
That'd be the
last
hard
for years.
component.
Yeah.
It's not fair. The single guys that do that show. It's like that's not fair.
Yeah.
So the Alaska Last Frontier is about this homesteader in the Kenai Peninsula down by Homer, Alaska, and it comes from a Swiss family. I want to say they're Swiss that fled during World War II. They didn't want to have anything to do with the war, and so they homesteaded in Alaska. And of course, back then it was really rural, like no
More
real
so
road
than
system.
now,
Yeah, and that's actually Jules' family. She comes from that's why she's a good yodeler. It comes from her Swiss roots. So anyhow, I kind of sometimes think that Jewel, a.k.a. Trailer Swift. How dare you, Brad Ganser? You're just
Jewel,
fighting.
AKA.
You're just what a Brad Ganser. Unbelievable. Just unbelievable. By the way, that was the best part about Sunday's game is we didn't get inundated with Taylor Swift comments the whole game. It just told us that she wasn't there, and then they moved on, right? I think about that, Mark. It's like I don't want anything to do with this stuff. I'm
It's
sick
a
of it. I feel
contentious
bad,
issue.
and I'm a guy who I served. I've been overseas. I've been in the Middle East, right? I've been Iraq, Kuwait, and then also I've been in the Balkanized areas in Europe. I was in Kosovo for a year. So I don't want, and I got to know people in those countries, and they're not all bad people by any mean. And by the way, the place I was in Iraq, it was southern Iraq. It was all Shia area, so it's really tribalism over there, and so they're more Iranian aligned. And it's just like most people, they're good individuals that care about their family, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we are
Even
and
like
when
Al
you listen to
Qaeda.
Nikki Haley.
Yeah.
What you said, Al Qaeda?
Even Al Qaeda. I've seen documentaries.
I don't know if I agree.
Well,
Well,
hold on.
What are you saying?
I'm just saying that people have gone in, done documentaries. They've done interviews and stuff with Al Qaeda, and you can even see the humanization of the most evil terrorist type people in the world. Once you just kind of have that sit down conversation with them, you can find some level of reason, and it's just one of those things that, like I'm saying, that
How
things
did
can
you
be,
get the Stockholm syndrome without actually being a captive? This is so
I
fascinating.
disagree. You take any
I'm just saying
terrorist,
what I've
there's
seen.
there's
I
no
know what
soul
you
there.
mean.
Most
I'm
people
giving you
are.
shit.
I'm not defending them.
No,
or
I
anything.
I get what you mean. You can find the personal side on a lot of things, right?
I'm sure there's a few of them that were
but-
probably okay and just got strung along. But
Yeah.
But hold on. The
people that
we got to get this out
it's
there
like a
before.
gang,
Hold on.
yeah.
The difference is once you take up arms or do something like Al Qaeda does, the game's over.
right, and
Right.
what
Oh, yeah.
Hamas just did, whoever made that decision and whoever's doing that is psychopathic.
Yeah.
That is evil and psychotic.
Yeah, that's who they should kill.
They know they're killing people. Like, we're gonna push the button that's gonna kill 1,000 people or more. That's
Right.
psychotic.
Yeah, that's
Should
the
not
person
happen.
you target. That's the person. I agree with you. Anybody that's causing that kind of directive.
And it's like Dawson said, though, but apparently words just aren't going to work it out.
Where's your hibachi?
yeah,
I mean, it's
Where is
building
it?
in like 40 minutes. Where is the hibachi?
yeah.
So what, from your
Nah, just
perspective,
kidding.
what does Israel need to do to Hamas then? What do they need to just blow
Jesse's
them
getting
up
some
and kill?
pushback.
What
Jesse's
does
getting pushed back.
Yeah,
Well, a little bit, like-
what's going on?
reciprocal?
yeah? What
Well,
do,
Bada Harry says, Jesse, that's too much gray middle of the road thinking.
I do
Jesse,
too
that's
much.
Tucker's-
What?
emotional. How dare you?
That is too
That
much.
was the
gray
singular,
middle of the
not-
road thinking, and then Tucker says propaganda, Jesse.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's a good one. No, I mean, I'm not spitting out any propaganda. I'm just saying what I think, and I'm not going to suck up to Israel. I don't know the Rothschilds anything, and that's just the way that it is.
Mark, to answer your question, what should Israel do to Hamas? They should decimate it. Just
so literally just like kill all the civilians and everyone?
Hamas.
Hamas?
Yeah.
How do you do
Now,
that?
Now here's
Yeah,
the question:
that's-
How do you do that? Right?
that?
That's a
And
that's a
Hamas,
very
one of the tricks, and this is very common in a lot of these Arab fundamentalist groups, is they literally put themselves in civilian locations.
So, but what about
so it
the
makes it hard to target
isn't that
them.
in and of itself just saying like, yeah, I'm here. You're gonna have to kill these civilians to get to me.
Right,
That's
and they do
monstrous.
that, and they do this
Yeah.
on purpose to perpetuate this idea that you have an evildoer. That doesn't mean I condone the killing of innocent civilians.
Right.
Right,
Obviously,
and
it
to
happens.
Dawson's point,
it
though, they
happens at
put
war, but you want
themselves-
it to be incidental, not the target, right?
It's like Dawson's saying, he brings up a great point, though. Hamas is going to put themselves amongst the civilians, so they're going to be hard to target. How do you take out Hamas without killing civilians?
Right, so obviously that is more of a question for someone that has any military strategy background at all. I don't. But
then,
if I had a button that I could press and then every single Hamas person just gets dissolved or whatever, Thanos snap style, I'd do it immediately.
But then is Iran a threat to Israel, and what should Israel do about that? I mean, I guess that's kind of a
is the point behind that Iran is funding Hamas?
So should we blame Iran too?
Is that what you mean?
That's what the claim is, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, because I know that Israel and Iran are enemies, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'd say Israel is
100%. Yes.
So
Yeah.
there's
some level of coexistence.
So they coexist, and I guess there could be a coexistence because Iran right now doesn't want to take the Holy Land at this point anyway. But it's to me, and I'm no biblical scholar, but there's a lot of this is what we talked about. It's that Abrahamic eschatology in preparation for end times. Islam, Christians, and Jews have a different view of what will occur in the end times, and there's preparation for that.
How is it that we've been doing the show for an hour and we haven't solved this problem yet?
We're never going to solve it.
Peace in the Middle East. How is it possible that this hasn't been solved?
It's sad. It's pretty intense.
By the way,
too.
when we did the show, one of the reasons I was like, I don't know, should we do this topic? Because it's like, I don't know. We don't have a point. We really don't have a point. But I don't think I think you guys at home don't care about that. You just want to join the conversation. We're all trying to flesh this out. We don't know. The Nikki Haley's of the world, they don't know either. They're just iterating these talking points. I can't stand what she's saying.
They'll act like they know.
Yeah, they act like they know, but it's just canned talking points. And there's something behind the scene. That's really scary. What's behind the scene that makes those talking points happen, and the press that just wants to push that out there. Yeah. It's an attack on America.
Who's
it's not an
behind
attack
the
on
curtain?
Stop bringing America into these damn wars. That's one of the reasons I had to get out of the military. I was sick. Like, I looked at it, 2 deployments, and then I wanted to have a family. I did not want to leave my family, right? Joining the military is very honorable. It's a great thing. Lots of patriots in the military. But I'm just not going to have a part in these stupid foreign wars. They're bullshit, right?
Well,
we need peace here. We need to take care of America. And we are so broke. Like I was talking about those 3 pillars of faith. We have a political system where we're about to imprison the leading candidate for president. And he's leading by a lot. If you hear him say it, he's leading by a lot. Washington Post poll shows him 10 points over Biden.
Ginny, you could have talked about that. We could have just went really benign and talked about RFK going independent and how that's going to affect Trump. We didn't have to get into this. All this, like me going into these deep conspiracy theories, looking like what I might look like to the viewers.
Maybe we could have talked about aliens. That's what they want us to talk about,
right?
Right?
Red
We
balloons,
could talk about the
Chinese
aliens.
balloons.
Chinese
Let's go back to
balloons.
that.
I guess. No, we should talk about Taylor Swift. Bridget, look up. Where's Taylor Swift right now? I don't understand her and Kelsey.
No
where
idea.
have they been seen last? Were they
Mr.
at the
Pfizer,
mall?
right?
Yeah.
Where was it
Mr.
actually?
Pfizer, Rogers, that's hilarious.
Mr. Pfizer.
I do have a question for you, Jake, from the military background specifically. Why? So you don't want to get involved in foreign wars, right? In things in Ukraine, blah blah blah. I think that the Israeli-Hamas war is a little bit different because Hamas is a terrorist organization and Israel is not doing the right thing back, right? Or from what people are thinking. Is there any reason why the U.S. would get involved with Israel to protect one side or the other when it comes to terrorist stuff?
Well, RFK Jr. says that the reason that we need to help out Israel is because no democracy has ever gone to war with another democracy. So he says that, and that's what the argument is pretty much universally. It's that, you protect democracies because democracies never go to war with each other, and at least it's a form of government run by the people to some capacity.
Stability in the Middle East, too, does affect us, even though you said we've got the oceans, but I think having stability in the Middle East is important to our national security to a certain degree.
Yeah. I mean, the reality, I think, of this world is that I don't think it's just America, but Western world would defend Israel, and that's why they probably haven't been wiped off the planet.
Right, because like I said, there's 1 billion Muslims and there's 20 million Jews, and it's if they don't have protection from empires, then they're done.
A massive foreign policy.
If America just
mistake.
withdrew support and the Western world withdrew support, I think Israel would be done.
Right.
Mm.
So I guess I mean it's tricky because you just don't want to see people dying, and in this case I don't think there's innocence on both sides, right? And you're seeing a bunch of politicians, a lot of you guys say beholden to Israel, right? Dual citizenship, funded by Jewish interest, and so they're almost as if Israel's always innocent, but boy, I don't look at it that way.
Yeah,
Ooh,
no.
that's another point I wanted to make while I have my little soapbox. It's impossible to separate Israel, the state, from Jews, the people, but you have to. You have to try when it comes to these, like Benjamin Netanyahu making decisions politically is not necessarily what is. Like, it's never in Jewish stuff to be like, we want to bomb this apartment complex, right? That's a political choice.
Yeah, but the people that occupy Israel are European Jews. You know, these are white Jews.
And it's a big mix. A lot of them are Ethiopian.
But anyways, weren't those
Not
Jews initially
mainly.
from there?
I'm talking the large amount. You know, the large amount was immigrated from Europe.
But they
so
originally
some
came
people
from the
say-
Holy
where they
Land. But
originally from.
they were originally from the Holy Land.
That's the argument. You know, I mean,
What do you mean that's
true.
an argument?
That's
They just take a
history.
leap?
Yeah,
Where'd they come from?
Yeah, then if they didn't just get, I don't know, like planted in
Well,
Europe.
hold on. I think we got you on this one, Jesse.
no, I'm not saying that they're not Jewish. I'm just saying that they're not. You know,
Middle
they're more
Eastern Jews?
European than Jewish, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, just because you trace back the most recent history. But
You know, and I mean, anybody, you take your lineage back far enough, couldn't we all say we're Jewish then? You know, we all, everybody comes from Africa, whatever,
yeah.
So, I don't know. And it's funny to me, you look at the entire Middle East, everyone's brown except Israel. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And it just shows to me that, it
What
was.
about Egyptians?
Yeah, they're tan. But
What does this have to do with anything?
I'm just saying that it was the European Jews who were the ones who reestablished Israel.
Well, yes, that's the big
it wasn't,
foreign policy blunder of
It wasn't
the last
Middle
100
East.
years.
I'm saying it
that
wasn't
puts us in
Middle
this-
Eastern Jewish people.
Why was it a foreign policy blunder? You're saying that we shouldn't have given them Israel? I guess I don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, because look at now the boat that we're in. I mean,
Well, yeah,
it's
I mean,
so damaging to everything.
so where should the Jews have been? They were displaced, obviously.
Right, obviously,
Where
yeah.
What should they have done?
I have zero idea, but obviously that was not the right answer because look at the boat that we're in.
So really quick, I just looked up Israelis because I'm curious about. Most of them are white or whatever. I don't think that these are white people.
They look white to me.
The older ones actually look.
Guys, this is a stupid conversation. What does it matter? I mean, we should
Yeah,
be
the
better.
viewers-
We should be better than the,
the
left
viewers are
and
probably
care
like,
about
"This
the
is getting
color
a little
of the skin."
boring.
Yeah. No, I don't mean that. I just mean the
And
color
I'm not
of the
saying I
skin.
care about the color of their skin.
Yeah, I think
I'm
just
just
bring it
pointing it out. I'm
Yeah,
just
no, but it's a
pointing it
dumb
out.
conversation, and that's once again the way I look at it. I don't give a shit about the color of the skin. I don't even really care in long terms the religion, ethnicity. I care about people, and I think the powers to be, the elites that are trying to run this country, they want this team on team mentality. That's why half the reason they got these flags, right? There's maybe a little bit of understanding of why people want to kneel for an American flag. Although I look at the flag as a symbol of liberty, I look at that
Yeah.
great thing. But if you look at the flag, and you can understand why some people look at a flag as a symbol of the atrocities of the ruling elite, then you could understand. Because literally, if the American flag to me represented the politicians and the elite, I would not only kneel to the flag, I'd be burning that motherfucker all the time. Because I hate those people in Washington, D.C., the Richmond, north of Richmond.
Yeah.
Screw that flag. But that's not what the flag represents to me. What the flag represents to me is the wonderful compact of states that originated from 13 colonies, which are embedded in the symbolism of the damn flag, and the American people who I love, who, even if they're not political, they celebrate Independence Day by blowing up
Can I
fireworks
play
in the
devil's
sky and getting
advocate?
again with family. And
The creation of this country, isn't it not somewhat similar to what Israel's doing now? Is there not some kind of manifest destiny? I mean, look what we did to the natives.
it's scary.
Kind of
it's
similar.
Scary
Yeah,
to
no
know.
established government was, present for either case, really. So, some could say that, you weren't.
There's
really,
parallel.
Yeah, there is some.
I don't agree with, it's really unfortunate.
Let's just say the Jews all immigrated to Utah. Like that's what's happened with
then there'd be no problem because it's not the Holy Land.
Latter-day
It's the Temple
Saints
Mount. This is Third Temple politics. The Temple Mount, the Wailing Wall, that is the Holy Land. I mean, that is important.
Right,
the
I know,
most
but I'm just
sacred
saying
land in
it's
the
a
world.
foreign policy blunder to the point that now we are in these tensions and it's scary as shit. And if you're Nikki Haley, America now has to spill its own blood and treasure. By the way, we are flat out broke. So the idea that we're going around acting like we're going to fund things, it's like, you know what they're going to do? They're going to tax you. And they're not going to tax you by like saying we're going to increase taxes. They're going to print more money, which causes inflation, and it hits you. So when you go to the grocery store, when you go to the pump up your gallon or gasoline in your vehicle, you pay more. That's the tax that you are paying to fund wars in Ukraine, Iraq, and possibly Israel. And for every other bloated government program, you're paying for it, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'm just so sick of this stuff. What does Mark have to say?
Mark Kroll says on Telegram, Watch the Water channel has a big dive on this subject, connecting Ohio and child trafficking tunnels and funding. Interesting.
Huh.
Base Minnesota also says this is one of the best April episodes. A lot of veils are being lifted and spells are being unbroken.
Oh, thanks, Base
Well,
Minnesota. I don't
it's
even know what that means.
That's what I'm like
you know what
wondering
it
too. What does
that
this mean
this
exactly?
is contentious, and we're willing to talk about it and
That's
raise
right.
all kinds of different viewpoints that we don't necessarily believe in, but it's the questions that are out there that I don't think anyone has the answers to.
Well, I appreciate that because I think a lot of people, when you look at the mainstream media, the corporate media, they already have their talking points. Crap, you saw Nikki Haley. Do you really believe? Do you believe that's a person talking? Like that is just weird. That is just so robotic. We at least are like we're just a normal person. This is a hang. The show's a hang, right? We don't have these things figured out. I have no idea what's the response by Israel. I don't think the response is to kill innocent
Did
civilians.
you see what Blinken tweeted? He
What's
tweeted, "Ceasefire, ceasefire," retracted it.
Really?
Yeah, he was, now
Really?
now he's like Israel.
That's
needs to
why
respond.
why is that controversial?
You know, a lot of this, like Ukraine and the geopolitics involved there too, kind of plays into this to a certain degree because there was a lot of Judaism there, and tonight I'm interviewing James Corbett, and he's been studying this stuff for a decade, so that's going to be interesting. But I don't understand it all. But isn't Zelensky a Jew? And I don't know what all is happening in this world.
F-13, Dawson, pull up F-13 real quick.
William says Israel is the only issue that gets some politicians fired up. It's weird.
This is this is interesting. So why are Biden officials deleting tweets calling for Israeli restraint? And this is alluding to Blinken, the Secretary of State. Where's this tweet?
What's a tweet?
Sorry, X.
X.
What do they call it?
I
What do they call it on
refuse to
X?
call it X.
Yeah. What do you even call it? Just
It's Twitter.
Blinken's fast 180 was the second time the State Department backtracked on a statement calling for Israeli restraint. I don't see.
Tucker says reports that Biden keeps confusing the wars in Ukraine and Israel.
Oh my gosh.
Austin barely shows up anymore. Blinken making majority of decisions.
I'm convinced this site is just a way to get you to scroll far and look at more ads. This is crazy.
Well, I saw Fox News also reported this. I was just hoping that they showed the actual tweet.
Nope.
This is on Fox News. Let's see here. So you're saying it just said, what did it say? The tweet that you're referring to?
He said ceasefire.
Ceasefire? I have to believe, just looking at these headlines, I'm not seeing the actual tweet that said ceasefire.
That's such a...
Oh, here we go. Seems that U.S. Secretary of State Blinken deleted yesterday's tweet where he encouraged Hamas supporting Turkey arranging a ceasefire between Hamas and Israel. Are there any actual adults in charge of the Foggy Bottom?
Yeah. And
Listen to this here. Anyone demanding Israel not escalate or calling for a ceasefire is either out of touch with this unfortunate reality or sympathizes with Hamas, Senator Marco Rubio of Florida tweeted.
Wow.
That's exactly... See, this is what you're going to get
if
from
you're
this show.
anti-war, you're anti-Semitic, according to Rubio.
Yes.
That's what he's saying.
This we can't have... Oh, here we go. Blinken encourages a ceasefire. maybe I'm going to get to the tweet. Okay, I can't find it. But I think you're right on the money. There's enough references to a tweet where he's calling for a ceasefire.
Yeah, and then he retracted it.
Yeah, well, clearly retracted. I was just trying to find the actual tweet. But yeah, there you go. That is another guy. He's like the Nikki Haley wing of the neocon Republican right. That's just going to say, yeah, you're. I mean, this is the same thing that happened in Ukraine, right? Oh, so you don't like funding for Ukraine? You're against us siding with Ukraine? You're a Russian asset. You're pro-Putin. That's literally how they do. This is the shit you get from corporate media-line politicians.
I should say, I think that Israel should go to war with Hamas.
Hey, let's hold on one second. It looks like Biden might be talking right now. Can we get this live?
Okay.
Just sorry.
While I get it,
Undersecretary
important
of
point,
State.
but I don't think that the U.S. necessarily needs to get involved as of this moment.
Right.
That's my.
It's a rabbit hole, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out.
I was on Fox News when I was looking at that. Let's go to some comments here.
Base says that that's what they do. They make you pick a side. Don't take the bait.
Exactly. Always want you to pick a side.
Brad says, wasn't part of the deal with the Marshall Plan to protect democracy throughout the world, along with giving Israel back to its homeland?
Protect democracy throughout the world. That's what they want you to believe. That's our job, is protect democracy around the world. And isn't that scary to think about?
I got 5 minutes.
You got 5 minutes? Okay. Okay, here we go. We got Biden.
Among all
I mean,
these different significant.
you can only imagine how
stakeholders
painful
inside the
this is gonna be to
administration,
hear
the
him.
Defense Secretary of State,
Sorry, I
the
have
Vice
to
President,
scrub
the
through.
National Security.
The Secretary of State and the Vice President will go live to the White House.
You know, there are moments in this life, I mean this literally, when the pure, unadulterated evil is unleashed
Why
in
is
this world.
the VP standing behind him like
People
that?
of
What a
Israel
bizarre photo.
Lived through one such moment this weekend. The bloody hands of the terrorist organization Hamas, a group whose stated purpose for being is to kill Jews. This was an act of sheer evil. More than 1,000 civilians slaughtered, not just killed, slaughtered in Israel. Among them, at least 14 American citizens killed. Parents butchered using their bodies to try to protect their children. Stomach-turning reports of babies being killed. Entire families slain. Young people massacred while attending a musical festival to celebrate peace. To celebrate peace. Women raped, assaulted, paraded as trophies. Families hid their fear for hours and hours, desperately trying to keep their children quiet to avoid drawing attention.
Is this live,
Thousands
Dawson?
of wounded.
No,
Just
we missed
finished
it.
or what?
He's
Carrying
actually
with them the
surprisingly
bullet holes and
coherent.
The shrapnel wounds and the memory of what they endured. You all know these traumas never go away. There's still so many families desperately waiting to hear the fate of their loved ones, not knowing if they're alive or dead or hostages. Infants in their mother's arms, grandparents in wheelchairs, Holocaust
Do me a favor. Can you
survivors
kind of like
abducted.
skip 5 seconds at a time? I want to see what the action item is. This is just him, obviously,
and held hostage.
prepping what
Violation
he's
of
saying. We
every
all know this
code
news
of
at this
human
point.
morality. These bloodthirst. This is terrorism. But sadly, for the Jewish people, it's not new.
Napkinator 79, $10
This
rebel
attack
rant.
is
Let's go Twins. Royce Manny. I don't know how you say his last name.
By far the star of the Twins right now. I'm going to comment on the Twins here in just a second, but thanks very much, Napkinator.
brought to the surface painful memories
See you, Mark.
of the Jewish people. So in this moment, we must be crystal clear. We stand with Israel. We stand with Israel. And we will make sure Israel has what it needs to take care of its citizens, defend itself, and respond to this attack. There's no justification for terrorism. There's no excuse. Hamas does not stand for the Palestinian people's right to dignity and self-determination. Its stated purpose is the annihilation of the state of Israel and the murder of Jewish people. They use Palestinian civilians as human shields. Hamas offers nothing but terror and bloodshed with no regard to who pays the price. The loss of innocent life is heartbreaking. Like every nation in the world, Israel has the right to respond, indeed has a duty to respond to these vicious attacks. I just got off the phone with a third call with Prime Minister Netanyahu, and I told him, the United States experience what Israel is experiencing, our response would be swift, decisive, and overwhelming. We also discussed how democracies like Israel and the United States are stronger and more secure when we act according to the rule of law. Terrorists purposely target civilians, kill them. We uphold the laws of war, the law of war. It matters, there's a difference. Today, Americans across the country are praying for all those families that have been ripped apart. A lot of us know how it feels. It leaves a black hole in your chest when you lose family. Feeling like you're being sucked in. The anger, the pain, the sense of hopelessness. This is what they mean by a human tragedy, an atrocity on an appalling scale. We're going to continue to stand united, supporting the people of Israel who are suffering unspeakable losses and opposing the hatred and violence of terrorism. My team has been in near constant communication with our Israeli partners and partners all across the region and the world from the moment this crisis began. We're surging additional military assistance, including ammunition and interceptors, to replenish Iron Dome. We're going to make sure that Israel does not run out of these critical assets to defend its cities and its citizens. My administration has consulted closely with Congress throughout this crisis. And when Congress returns, we're going to ask them to take urgent action to fund the national security requirements of our critical partners. This is not about party or politics. This is about the security of our world, the security of the United States of America. We now know that American citizens are among those being held by Hamas. I've directed my team to share intelligence and deploy additional experts from across the United States government to consult with and advise Israeli counterparts on hostage recovery efforts. Because as president, I have no higher priority than the safety of Americans being held hostage around the world. The United States has also enhanced our military force posture in the region to strengthen our deterrence. The Department of Defense has moved the USS Gerald R. Ford Carrier Strike Group to the Eastern Mediterranean and bolstered our fighter aircraft presence. And we stand ready to move in additional assets as needed. Let me say again, to any country, any organization, anyone thinking of taking advantage of this situation, I have one word: don't. Don't. Our hearts may be broken, but our resolve is clear. Yesterday, I also spoke with the leaders of France, Germany, Italy, and UK to discuss the latest developments with our European allies and coordinate our united response. This comes on top of days of steady engagement with partners across the region.
This is a better speech than I expected.
What's
I
that?
said, this is a better speech than I expected out of him.
Yeah.
It's
Cities
coherent.
across the United States of America, police departments have stepped up, security around centers of Jewish life. The Department of Homeland Security and the Federal Bureau of Investigation are working closely with state and local law enforcement and Jewish community partners to identify and disrupt any domestic threat that could emerge in connection with these horrific attacks.
Something smells here.
This is a moment for the United States to come together, to grieve with those who are mourning. Let's be real clear. There is no place for hate in America. Not against Jews, not against Muslims, not against anybody. We reject,
Only MAGA extremists,
we
right?
reject, but we
You
reject
can hate those
terrorism.
guys.
We condemn the indiscriminate evil, just as we've always done. That's what America stands for. You know, just over 50 years ago, I was thinking about it this morning, talking to the Secretary of State, the Vice President in my office. Over 50 years ago, as a young senator, I visited Israel for the first time as a newly elected senator. And I had a long, long trip, a meeting with Golda Meir in her office just before the Yom Kippur War. And I guess she could see the consternation on my face as she described what was being faced, they were facing. We walked outside in that sort of hallway outside her office to have some photos. She looked at me all of a sudden and said, "Would you like to have a photograph?" And so I got up and followed her out. We were standing there silent, looking at the press. She could tell, I guess, I was concerned. She leaned over and whispered to me, she said, "Don't worry, Senator Biden. We have a secret weapon here in Israel." My word is what she said. We have no place else to go. We have no place else to go. For 75 years, Israel has stood as the ultimate guarantor of the security of Jewish people around the world, so that the atrocities of the past could never happen again. And let there be no doubt, the United States has Israel's back. We will make sure the Jewish and democratic state of Israel can defend itself today, tomorrow, as we always have. It's as simple as that. These atrocities have been sickening. We're with Israel. Let's make no mistake. Thank you.
Mr. President, what was your reaction?
Just so the line, "We have nowhere else to go," that shit runs deep. And so I don't who knows if he actually talked to her or whatever, but that one's real.
Well, yeah, obviously, and that's the problem with the whole situation. Oh, man. Like, once again, I look out for America. I look out for my family. I look out for my neighbors, my friends, and I just see all this global tension, economic, political, and now this. And I don't see us having a good ending to it all. I mean, we're committing to World War III. We're committing to the blank check, sounds like, right? Congress needs to come back, and we're just going to give them a blank check. And it's just like, we are broke. We can't afford it, you know? But at the same point, you just don't, you want to not abandon Israel, but you don't also give them ammunition to kill innocent civilians. It's a damn tricky one, so I'm going to be a little reluctant to criticize Biden here, even though there's plenty to criticize him on. I'm just seeing all this stuff shaping up.
Well, his job right there was basically to make it seem reasonable to sell weapons. And that's what he did. He made it seem reasonable that we needed to provide weapons to Israel. And, I don't know if you had seen recently, but Code Pink, an anti-war group, kind of a feminist group, they were protesting in front of the Capitol building saying no war with Ukraine, trying to stop the funding for it. Marjorie Taylor Greene went and got a picture with them. Code Pink said after the fact that, we do not stand with Marjorie Taylor Greene. So what it showed me is that, sometimes with these liberals is, they'd rather try to own Marjorie Taylor Greene than try to stop World War III. That's what's going on right now. We're in the midst of it. It's getting started unless we stop it. So, somebody needs to act quick, because what's going on right now is going to lead us to World War III.
Yeah, if we're not already in it, we just don't know, right?
Yeah.
Okay, to go to, what was that, Bad Hat Harry? Who's talking about twins? Napkinator.
Napkinator.
He was talking about Royce Lewis, I think. Here's my thinking on the Twins. I grew up being a big Twins fan. And they're just such a woke corporation these days. I just don't care. And they're having this magical season. Actually, they're having a magical postseason. Let's be honest. Their season was lackluster. The AL East was far better than the AL Central. But I honestly, I haven't watched a game yet. It just, it's so hard for me to care and watch. They'll go to the World Series. I haven't watched them in the World Series since '91, and I was young. I was like 10 years old, so 9 years old. So it's just where I am with the Twins these days. It's it's such a woke corporation. I can't get behind it. The one other story here, and then we're gonna finish this off. I mean, obviously we beat this to death. Mark had to take off. He has his kids here. Brian Curran, go pull this article up in case you guys didn't see this. Brian Curran, who goes by, well, there's two pronouns Brian Curran goes by. I think it's pronounced Brian, Brion. I don't know. According to Brian's website, she prefers the pronouns she or her, but if you go to Twitter, prefers the pronouns gay, they. I would say the pronouns drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Actually, that's
Drunk and
not a
plastered,
pronoun, but
yeah.
a drunkard,
Mm-hmm.
right? Brion, she, he, they, gay,
Prison inmate.
was arrested in Chisago County for suspicion. Like how they put suspicion of DWI. Do you think she's going to take full responsibility like Dan Wolgamet? I don't know.
I don't know. I think that this is probably the end of her plea. To me, it seems like it should be political suicide. You're saying maybe there's a chance she gets reelected after this, but I would think if she wants to have any dignity, she should probably get out of there.
Yeah.
Williams says she's in a solid Dem district. They'll let her keep going.
Yeah, and
But
dignity.
a primary, that might be enough for the Dems to primary her.
Yeah, well, they're not going to do that. They're going to do Dan Wolgamet.
Yeah.
Anyhow, well, she'll just accuse them of being against the gays.
Yeah.
Because she's a gay they. The funny thing is, two funny things that come out of this. Brian Curran. So, by the way, second Democrat in 3 months to get a Dewey. The last, because everyone wants to see what's the comment. Have you made a statement? The last tweet, according to yesterday, when we wrote this article, you can go to actionforliberty.com, was retweeting Kelly Moeller, another state rep, about how the public safety bills we passed this year address crimes taking part. She's promoting the public safety bill. I mean, can you make that up, right? And then she gets drunk and puts the public safety at risk.
Yeah.
And then yesterday, who's that numbnuts down in Rochester, the soy boy?
Andy Smith.
Andy Smith.
Yeah.
Announces a new
Small
podcast.
Business Smith. Yeah.
He announces a new podcast with none other than Brian, whatever.
Really?
Her name is. Yeah.
I didn't see that.
You didn't see this? Oh, I took a screenshot. It's so funny.
Oh man.
Well, let's go to.
Do you think the podcast is still going to happen? Are they still going to do it?
I assume they already filmed the first one.
Oh, really?
He promotes this. He is a he, right?
Yeah.
What's his name?
Smith. Yeah.
Andy Smith.
Andy Smith.
God, he's such a goofball.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot, Andy Smith.
Could you
Here we
imagine?
go. Representative Andy Smith. Maybe it's this one.
Could you imagine if World War III actually started and this person got drafted?
Curran?
No, I definitely could not. It's called New Libs on the Block.
Yep.
That's the name of the
Wow.
podcast, and it features Brian Curry and Curran or somebody else too.
That's so weird to call themselves libs.
Isn't this a riff on like? Hold on.
New Kids on the Block. Yeah.
Okay, so it's okay. I'm sorry. For some reason I was thinking like a rap group that was pretty specifically black, and I was like, that's fascinating that you decided.
Did you find the tweet? I got it here.
Well, he found the podcast.
Yep.
Go to F14. There's a tweet announcing. Oh, does it say Brian on there? But just go to the tweet I put on there.
And he hasn't deleted this tweet, right?
No, it was like from yesterday. Here you go. Announcing Brian Curran's joining me, and I've started a new pod. Oh, I can't. I want to tune into that pod.
I know.
Can we hear about it? Oh, yeah, they roast him in the comment section.
Yeah, I'm
Pretty
sure.
funny. Look what's recommended on the side. Relevant people. Brian Curran. Now click on Brian Curran. Gay they nerd. There's the dream team up there with Gomez and.
What if these people?
And Curran was the one who led.
Those are all
this,
state reps.
Yeah, they're all state reps.
So
yeah,
they
they're all crazy people.
The
but,
Aisha Gomez on the far right, actually far left,
Yeah.
is the the chairman of the tax committee. Yeah, the blue-haired
Crazy.
behemoth over there is literally who the Democrats picked to run the tax committee.
Yeah, and Kern
That's how
got rid of
crazy.
the no-knock warrant, and that that a police officer audibly has to make sure that a suspect hears them when they're making a warranted arrest or something like that. It was just like, which I'm skeptical of police power too, but it was just a dumb law.
Williams says he posted about it on X like 2 hours before the news broke. Go back to that. Well, yeah, you'd think Brian would let him know. Scroll down. Let's see if Brian's made a comment yet.
Would it be in
No,
replies? Or?
still last thing is the public safety.
Yeah.
Happy Pride Day, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Mhm.
They're with what's his name, Stinky Finky.
Aren't they in jail right now?
I don't know. I don't think so. I would assume that it's out. Right?
Yeah, I would think so.
I think that they're pretty far out. I think they've made it clear that they're out.
Yeah.
Well, so apparently, suspicion of DWI. I don't believe she chugged a bottle of vodka in a liquor store parking lot like Dan Wogelman. It's a little different. By the way, I'm having a little bit of fun. Obviously, Republicans get DWIs too. So
yeah,
this is politicians.
Booze
These
and
are
Bob
the
Lunan.
people. These are the people that take us to war. By the way.
That's wild.
Not these ones particular, obviously. That's federal politicians, but they're the same ilk, right? Come from the same fabric. All right. Well, we appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll be back on Thursday. Who knows what the hell we're going to talk about then? Who knows, right?
Might be a new speaker by then.
Yeah, we didn't even go through the speaker thing. We'll talk probably about that on Thursday. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for all the Rumble rants, everyone that joined us today in the conversation, and we'll see you on Thursday.